Just moments ago, the U.S. shot down the suspected Chinese surveillance balloon off the coast of the Carolinas.
The presence of this surveillance balloon in U.S. airspace is a clear violation of U.S. sovereignty and international law.
The F-22 lured on that when it fired the missile that brought this balloon down.
And that makes this the fourth object shot down in just the last 8 days.
The skies above the United States have been thrown into chaos, with fighter jets downing 3 unidentified airborne objects in just 3 days. But what exactly are these strange objects, and what do they want? With the White House remaining tight-lipped about the incidents, lawmakers and the public alike are left with more questions than answers. Could these objects be the result of some kind of foreign invasion, or are they simply harmless balloons caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? The truth remains a mystery, and the country is left to wonder what lies ahead. So join us in today's video as we unravel the mystery behind these objects that were shot down and explore the possible explanations for their presence in US airspace. In a remote oil camp town at the edge of the world, the United States Navy pilots flying P-8 Poseidons embarked on a mission to search for a downed UFO. But with minus 30-degree weather and only 6 hours of daylight, the task seemed impossible. After hours of searching, they were forced to give up, returning empty-handed and with no answers. Meanwhile, in the Yukon territory and Lake Huron, Canadian forces and Coast Guard captains searched for remnants of 2 more objects that had been intercepted in quick succession just days after the US had shot down a Chinese spy balloon. But once again, their search efforts proved fruitless, leaving the public with more questions than answers. With so many questions left unanswered, it seems that the military may have packed up and gone home, but the mystery remains, shrouded in the frozen expanse of the Arctic and the murky depths of Lake Huron. The US military shot down 3 unidentified flying objects over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan on consecutive days, leaving Pentagon and intelligence officials perplexed and searching for answers. This adds to the ongoing sightings of unidentified aerial phenomena happening in the skies over North America, which has created a sense of unease and uncertainty. The latest object appeared over Montana on Saturday, and after some debate on whether it was real or not, a blip appeared the following day over Montana, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Once military officials confirmed the existence of the object, they ordered an F-16 to shoot it down over Lake Huron. Despite the incidents, the truth about the origin and nature of these objects remains elusive. However, there are still 2 major questions that remain unanswered. What exactly were the 3 crafts that US fighter jets shot down over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan? And why does it seem like there are suddenly more of them appearing and being taken down? As of now, American officials have no answers to the first question. They are still in the dark about the nature and purpose of the objects, as well as who sent them. Regarding the second question, it's unclear whether there are actually more UFOs appearing or if the US military has just become more vigilant in detecting them. After the recent incursion by a Chinese spy balloon, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, has made adjustments to its radar system, making it more sensitive to any potential threats. As a result, the number of objects detected has increased significantly, but this may simply be due to the fact that NORAD is now actively searching for them. Despite the lack of answers, the US military remains on high alert, with NORAD keeping a close eye on the skies above. As Melissa DALTON, the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Homeland Defense and Hemispheric Affairs, said at a news conference, "We have been more closely scrutinizing our airspace, which may at least partly explain the increase in objects that we've detected over the past week. There are some American officials who believe that there could be more unidentified flying objects than what is currently known. They have considered the possibility that these objects might be from a foreign power such as China and could be conducting tests on the US's detection capabilities after the recent spy balloon incident. On Sunday, an object was spotted flying at 20,000 feet towards Lake Huron. The object's octagonal structure had strings hanging off, but no payload was visible. Officials stated that the object posed a potential threat to civil aviation, prompting President Biden to order its destruction. Over the weekend, officials were still working to identify 3 mysterious objects. The first object, which was shot down on Friday, was unlikely to be a balloon and broke into pieces upon being destroyed. Saturday's object, described as cylindrical by Canadian authorities, is believed by American officials to be a type of balloon. Sunday's object was also unlikely to be a balloon. NORAD radar tracked the first two objects for at least 12 hours, but it is unclear if they were detected by radar before entering American airspace, and it is unknown how they remained aloft. The US is currently reviewing video and other sensor data gathered by pilots who observed the objects before they were destroyed. However, the true nature, origin and purpose of the objects will not be determined until the FBI and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have the chance to thoroughly examine the debris. Last month, the intelligence community released a report stating that out of 366 unexplained incidents, 163 were eventually identified as balloons. However, a classified document whose findings were recently reported by the New York Times suggested that at least 2 incidents at US military bases could be examples of advanced aerial technology which may have been developed by China. Some US officials are considering the possibility that the unknown objects are being sent by China or another country in an effort to gain more information about American early warning systems and radar capabilities. According to a senior administration official, one theory is that these objects are being used to test how quickly the United States can detect and respond to an intrusion. Officials are confident that the spy balloon that recently passed through the United States was a Chinese device designed to conduct surveillance on American military bases. It is unclear if China had full control of the balloon throughout its journey, but officials believe they had at least some ability to steer it. Despite being equipped with a self-destruct mechanism, the Chinese government chose not to use it, indicating that they may have wanted to continue collecting intelligence even after it was discovered. According to some officials, it would be a significant provocation if any of the objects that were destroyed in North America were Chinese, given the recent spy balloon incident. As a result, some officials are cautioning against assuming that the objects are Chinese surveillance devices. Beijing officials are trying to de-escalate tensions over the spy balloon, which has led some US officials to believe that the recent objects are less likely to be intentional provocations or tests by China. That is why President Joe Biden later stated that the United States has no evidence suggesting that the 3 objects destroyed in North American airspace are linked to China's spy balloon program and are more likely to be associated with private entities. We don't yet know exactly what these 3 objects were, but nothing right now suggests they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country, Biden said in his first formal remarks. The intelligence community's current assessment is that these 3 objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research. President Biden stated that there is no evidence of a sudden increase in the number of objects in the sky and that the 3 objects recently shot down in North American airspace are likely from private entities and therefore benign. However, he warned that if any object poses a threat to American safety and security, he will take it down. President Biden also emphasized that the United States is not seeking a new Cold War with China and expects to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping, though no specific time has been set for the conversation. Despite this, President Biden made it clear that he stands by the decision to take down the spy balloon and has no regrets. But what do these mysterious flying objects mean for the UAP/UFO community? Is there anything to learn from pilot sightings of these objects? A notable skeptic of the theory that UFOs are alien spacecraft is MICK West, a former video game programmer and investigative writer. West shared with Inside Outer Space that the pilot reports demonstrate the difficulty of obtaining accurate information from eyewitness accounts of slow-moving objects. The problem with judging the speed of an object without knowing its distance is compounded in encounters with unfamiliar balloons where the pilots have no idea of their size, West explained. He also cited congressional testimony and ongoing efforts by the Office of the Directors of National Intelligence and the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office as sources of insight into these encounters. According to MICK West, balloons are often reported as UFOs, UAPs by pilots. For instance, the Go Fast UFO video, which appears to show a high-speed object over the ocean, is likely just a slow-moving balloon. West explained that UFO reports usually come from the low information zone, where the object is too difficult to identify due to its distance, speed, size, or lack of focus. NORAD has typically filtered out these low-quality radar returns as distractions, but due to the recent Chinese balloon incident, they are now investigating these objects more closely. However, many of these objects are likely innocuous items such as stray balloons, potentially even of US origin. Disambiguating unidentified objects will pose a challenge, and the need for quick action could result in costly and dangerous shoot-downs based on limited information. Now let's hear your thoughts about these objects in the comments section below.